All right, it's nice still, trying to get people's experience about this coronavirus and the COVID-19 as it is called. I'm live here in Lagos. The Elegbete TV studio is locked down, so I'm working from home. And we're trying to share people's experience. Earlier on, we spoke to Simon Bono from Houston, Texas, who shared his experience. He drives Uber, he works with EXPN, and he does a lot of things. So I'm going to travel to Italy. Italy happens to be, for those of you who know me, Italy is my favorite country after Nigeria. When I was a football player, they used to call me Wari Baggio because I loved Baggio so much. I love Totti, I love Alessandro Nesta, I love Alessandro Del Piero. I'm a fan of AC Milan, I love Juventus. I mean, Italy is my thing. You guys know that. But I'm also a diehard fan of Arsenal because my father worked there. Now, having said that, I have a friend who is now a brother, Daniele. He's an amazing guy. He's helped me with a lot of resource material on my radio show. He's also partnered with a foundation that I'm also partnering with, Mission 89, to help eradicate human trafficking through sports. And he's worked a lot in that area to educate and inform people of the red flags, the things to notice when a dubious agent is trying to get you. And he's been in contact with a footballer in Nigeria. The player name also is Daniele, and they've been sharing advices and opinion and all that. So I have him here to talk to us about the experience of this coronavirus in Italy. Italy seems to be the country that is most hit in the whole of Europe. So Daniele, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, for the sake of our viewers and our listeners, I would like you to tell us your name, your full name, and what city you are in the country of Italy.
Okay, my name is Daniele Canepa, and Canepa is a very typical surname of Genoa, which is the city where I live in. If you know where Milan is, and you draw a straight line perpendicular, when you reach the sea, then you meet Genoa, which is my city.
Wow. Okay, so when we talk about Italy, we know Turin because of Juventus. We know Milan because of AC Milan and Inter Milan. We know Naples because of Napoli. We know the entire city of Rome because of Lazio and AS Roma. We also know that there's a small club called Genoa in the city of Genoa. But apart from football, what other things make Genoa popular?
Look, first of all, I don't want to correct you, but there is a team in Genoa which is called Genoa Cricket and Football Club. It was the first team that won the national championship. And also there's another team called Sampdoria, and it reached the Champions League final in 1992. I remember I was a kid. Yeah. Anyway, apart from this, you're right. These teams are quite small now. So other teams are more popular. Genoa is very famous for being the city where Christopher Columbus was born. So, the explorer who, people said he discovered America. He was the first Westerner to go to America. He was born in Genoa. And Genoa is probably also famous, at least in Italy, for because in Genoa the first bank was founded, and also because the flag of Genoa is the same as the flag of England. But it was originally the Genoese flag, and then the English took it from Genoa.
Wow. What a very, very beautiful history. I told you that when I decide to, I'm coming to Italy with my family. I've been to Italy a couple of times, but my family have not been to Italy. So I promise you that we're going to come to Italy, and I've always told my wife that we're going to go to Milan and we're going to go to Rome. But because of this now, I'm going to come to Genoa to see you and your people, and then you take me on the tour. But beyond that, every time we talk about Italy, my daughter, she's addicted to Italian food. She's always talking pasta, spaghetti, lasagna. But my favorite Italian food have always been the risotto. Okay? What are the kind of food and drinks that are typical to Genoa?
Look, the most typical food, we're famous in Italy for that, is pesto. Pesto is a green sauce. and it's made of basil, parmesan, olive oil, garlic, bit of salt. My grandmother used to put a drop of milk to make it more, less thick.
Yeah.
So that's the green sauce that we're famous for, because the basil that grows here has a special flavor.
Okay. So I also hear that you guys have beautiful wine in Genoa. Is it true?
Look, I'm not a wine expert, unfortunately, but it's true that not far from Genoa, there are some special places for, for wine. So it's maybe not exactly from the city, but from the area. Yes. For example, we live close to Le Cinque Terre, which is a very famous tourist destination. In that location, there is a typical wine. It's called Chaquetra. It's very expensive, but very good.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this coronavirus, but come on. There are so many other things about the country of Italy that has given to the world. Take, for instance, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, and a whole lot. But I'm a football person. Football is what really gets me high. It's my poison, it's my passion. So Italy has given us Paolo Rossi, Dino Zoff, Paolo Maldini, Franco Baresi, Alessandra Nesta, Francesco Totti, Gigi Buffon, Gianluca Piagluca, Gianfranco Zola, who scored the Little Italian. You've also given us the great Roya Ponite, Roberto Baggio, Toto Schillaci. I could name all of these. Which footballer is your favorite Italian player of all time?
Look, I must say, there are a lot of players that you mentioned that I saw live, because when I was a child, as I was saying, Sampdoria was the top of Serie A football, so probably the top of Europe. So Gianluca Vialli was my idol as a child because he played for Sampdoria.
Yeah.
Roberto Mancini, the current Italian national coach, was our, most famous player around the world. He played 16 years for Sampdoria. But I must admit, growing up, I've changed my mind, and I think Roberto Baggio is my favorite player, not just as a player, but the kind of person, the resilience is shown. That's really actual proof, of a really, really great man, a really great character, not just a footballer.
Okay, there is a group of Italian coach of the old class: Arrigo Sacchi, Giovanni Trapattoni, Marcello Lippi, and then there is the new generation of coaches: Antonio Conte, Massimiliano Allegri, Roberto Mancini, Sarri. What's the difference in this generation? What's the difference in these coaches?
Look, this is a very, very good question. I think there was a watershed at the end of the 80s because Arrigo Sacchi, introduced the 4-4-2 system. And in Italy, before that, for example, Giovanni Trapattoni used to play with the libero, the sweeper, okay? So, and it was man-to-man marking. But Sacchi revolutionized football. But, I'm not a big fan of certain aspects of that revolution, but I think it was a major watershed. From then on, I would say that the Italian school of coaches is coaches that can combine that aggressive approach of pressing very high with the more practical style of Italian football, which aims to get the results. So all the names you mentioned, I totally agree with you. They're that new wave, and they're a kind of combination of these two styles. Probably Maurizio Sarri is something a bit apart, what he did with Napoli, with this 4-3-3 formation, and it was a different type of football. Whereas those other coaches you mentioned, Antonio Conte, Mancini, Allegri, they combined the need for results with the need to be aggressive, which is the need of today's modern football.
Okay, so let's come to what happened with the pandemic. You know, it started like first off, the first news about it was on the 19th of November 2019, and then the whole world thought it was just a China problem. It was a Chinese problem. They would deal with it. And then December, you know, the whistleblower begins to, you know, it begins to speak on CNN. It begins to go out, and people still thought, okay, this was a Chinese problem. They're very far in Asia, in the eastern side of the world. It's not going to get here. Even if it's going to go out, we are ready for it. And then boom, it came to Italy. And what, in your opinion, I mean, you're not a medical person, but what, in your opinion, do you think Italians, the government, and the people did wrong that people like us and the rest of the world can learn from, so that we don't repeat the same mistake and lose the same number of people that the Italians have lost?
Yeah, look, this is a very good question. As you were saying, I'm not a virologist, I'm not a doctor. I work in education. I'm an English language teacher and a writer. But you know, as a grown-up person, I try to, you know, have an opinion about all of this, which I find extremely difficult, because we've got very authoritative scientists saying, you know, this is something really, really serious. Other authoritative figures who said, oh, you know, it's a bit more serious than the flu, but, you know. And then the government, I really have huge respect for our, prime minister, who is in the situation of facing something that had never been faced before. Yeah. So there wasn't even a way of learning from the past. Yes, there was China maybe, and I think some measures, they kind of replicated what had happened in China. So I think only time will tell us what this really has been. What I can tell you is that it's very hard for commoners, for common people, to have a clear idea of what is right or what is wrong. But I think Italy is really showing something that people, even in Italy, didn't know we have, which is abiding to rules and creating unity, being united in order to get out of this. The government has made certain decisions. Our daily life has very restricted limitations, but people, the large majority of people are behaving according to these measures. So I think this is also a good lesson for us Italians, as we think that we lack discipline. In this case, we've been very disciplined, and I see a lot of people that really have a lot of respect for, you know, for the situation, for other people. They don't want to put other people at risk, in danger, and so they're sticking to what the government measures are.
Okay, so there is this talk about, in America, for instance, there was a $2 trillion bailout, and out of that $2 trillion, I think it's about $250 billion would be shared among the citizen taxpayers and, you know, citizens and all that. And then there's $350 billion that will go for companies, small and medium enterprises and all that. In Italy, was there anything like that? Like, okay, government giving you people money or giving you people food or something? How did you guys go through this period? Because it's been very tough, okay? But I mean, like you, for instance, you have a pregnant wife, you have your life to live, but then you're locked up somewhere. How have you guys been able to deal with it? Is anybody giving you people money? Are you people, you know, begging celebrities money online to send you money? How have you guys been able to cope with it?
Yeah, this is, again, this is a very good question. I think this crisis has really brought to the surface certain problems. First of all, obviously Italy is part of the European Union. So even our financial decisions, they're kind of linked with the European Union. It's something people are struggling to understand at this moment. And the perception is that the European Union is not really helping us or the most affected countries, which, by the way, are Italy and Spain at the moment, now also Germany and France and England. The government has stumped up a large amount of money. Yesterday, there was a press conference by the Prime Minister, Mr. Conte, same surname as the coach.
Yeah.
And he told about a huge amount of money. If we're talking about tens of billions of euros that are going to help companies and enterprises. There was 400 million euros had already been given to the local municipalities to help those in immediate need. And also another amount of money, which is exactly 600 euros per person, was given to people like me who are freelance professionals. So freelance professionals are obviously in the situation where maybe some of our clients cannot pay, or for example, we cannot work. So, there's been this emergency measure, but a more structured measure was, kind of introduced yesterday, and we will see how this is going to work. So yesterday was the big day in terms of the government announcing a large amount of money to support businesses.
Okay, so right now, as we close, can you say that there is end in sight? Are you looking at your situation? We heard that Cuba sent some medical personnel to come to Italy to help. Are you guys making progress in terms of people recovering and reducing the numbers of people that are getting this, or the numbers are still increasing and you don't know what to do?
Look, the graphs are showing that probably now it's going to go a bit better. So this is what the graphs, the statistics have shown in the last week, that probably we're past the peak. Obviously, this also depends on the behavior that people will keep having, because obviously we've been isolated. I mean, you were talking about my wife. Yes, I live with my wife. We have, my wife is pregnant. She might give birth to our child maybe even tomorrow. And for example, in hospitals now, for example, even I, as a father, I couldn't attend. I couldn't be there when the child is born, because the situation is very serious. The measures are very strict. What we found out about COVID-19 is that it's highly infectious. Okay, so this is one fact. Yes, I mean, we've been coping because human beings are very flexible. This is undoubtedly true. And what seemed far from possible 1 month ago has now become a habit. The habit of staying at home, painful as it is, because the sun is shining, springtime is the best season here. But people are trying to adapt themselves. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
it does. It does. So this is what I'm going to say. I really love you sharing your views with me. And going forward, we're going to have a lot of, for our channel, we're going to depend on you to give us Italian football opinion, roundup, and all that. And as the baby comes, just know that there is an uncle of the baby that is here, and there is an extended family that is in Nigeria. Whenever we come to Italy, we'll be there to eat risotto with you, and pasta and lasagna and everything that you do. But thank you very much, Daniele Carpena, and my regards to everybody.
If I may, thank you very much. If I may, there are two very short things I would like to add. First is a Japanese proverb, which says, when great evil occurs, great good will follow. And this is based on the fact that when there is a crisis like this, people are readier to reflect. For example, now a good thing is we have more time to stay at home, to read, to reflect on who we are and what is really important in life, which is happiness. Okay. So, you know, if we really make this mind change, great good will follow great evil. And the second thing is, I am really honored to be here. And, you know, I feel huge respect to Nigeria, a big country. Unfortunately, in Italy or in the West, we don't talk about Nigeria as much as we should. Nigeria is probably 3-4 times, you know, as many inhabitants as Italy. So it would be the largest country in Europe. And it's really unfortunate that we don't know much about it. And thanks to you and other friends, I'm learning more and more about your beautiful country. And so one day I would like to visit you as well.
You are welcome anytime, and we'll welcome you with open hand and give you our Nigerian jollof rice and give you amala and wedu, give you ogo soup and banga soup and ukodo and everything. But thank you very much, Daniele. I love you, and we will always be here to relate with you. Have yourself a lovely day. Ciao, my brother.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you very much. Ciao, everyone.